Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Chris Lloyd, and today we'll be talking about Tulane School of Professional Advancement and our graduate degree programs. I'm just going to briefly go over our agenda for tonight, and then we'll go into depth about the topics. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about who we are and what we offer. So that's going to be the history of SOPA, talking a little bit about our programs, some of the ways that we help to support student success, how to actually apply tuition and financial aid, as well as the Q&A portion. So to give a more thorough introduction, my name is Chris Lloyd, and I'm an admissions associate here at Tulane SOPA. I work really closely with all of our applicants as well as our students who actually get into SOPA. So if you're out here at our Elmwood campus ever, if you want to stop by for a visit, then you'll be able to see me up there at our front desk, and I can help to show you around and acclimate you. I'm joined here by Dr. Sheila Gold. Sheila, will you give a brief introduction to everyone out there?
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. And I really appreciate you all, after what I'm assuming is a long day of work, giving up some of your time to hear about Tulane and the School of Professional Advancement. I think we have some great programs to share with you all this evening. I am Sheila Gold. I'm the Executive Director of Admissions. I myself am a Tulane graduate, so I thoroughly enjoyed talking about this university. It's my pleasure and my honor. And we have some incredible graduate programs at the School of Professional Advancement that we're going to share with you tonight. So please know that a lot of information is going to be shared. You don't have to remember all of it. We will share our contact information at the end of this webinar, and you all also will be receiving a recorded copy of tonight's webinar. So if there were pieces that you want to replay or revisit, you'll have the opportunity to do that, and you can always reach out through email or phone to us as well. So if you want to ask a question later on the chat function, do, and if you want to take some time to kind of think about a question or two and reach out to us afterward, we're happy to hear from you that way. So we'll go ahead and get started, but thanks for sharing some of your evening with us. So a little bit of an overview about who we are. Tulane School of Professional Advancement was founded in 1834. We have been around since almost the beginning of the university. Tulane was, at 1834, was founded as the Medical College of Louisiana. And then in 1886, we started offering our first continuing education classes to adult learners. And the School of Professional Advancement today is that legacy of reaching out to professional adult learners who are interested in growing themselves professionally. And so our 130-year legacy is what you're going to hear a little bit about this evening. We are the outreach division of Tulane, and our mission is to offer high-end, rigorous Tulane education to working professionals. So you'll hear that many of our programs are catered towards people just like you who are working during the day but maybe want to get an advanced degree in the evening, possibly online. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, but that is the mission of the School of Professional Advancement. In 2007, we officially rebranded ourselves the School of Professional Advancement. And the reason we did that is because we wanted to better reflect our focus on reaching out to professional working adults who are looking for not only degrees, but also credentials. So we have some certificates as well that we'll be telling you about. But we believe in the transformational power of education for adult learners. So we're excited to share some details about that as we go through the evening. I talked a tiny bit. You'll hear more about the flexibility of our programs, but it's important to keep in mind while you're hearing what we talk about this evening that we have online options, that we have on-campus options, we have hybrid, a combination programs that offer both on-ground and online courses, and that we offer flexible scheduling. So we have daytime classes, nighttime classes, and weekend classes available. So keep that in mind as we're going through our programs and as you develop your questions.
So for those of you that are joining us tonight that don't really know much about our graduate programs, I want to start from that wider lens and just talk about all of our offerings. So we've got an emergency and security studies program that's a really exciting offering here. We're going to go into a little bit more depth about it, but this is a great way for you to take maybe that passion you have for security, for public service, for all these various elements, and being able to translate that into an actionable career. And then we also have humanities and social science programs. So that's a really wonderful way if you're already interested in that field and trying to find that advanced degree for you to be able to continue that passion, get a little bit of that self-direction there where you can sort of set more topics that you're interested in and explore those fields. And then for a little bit more of those defined tracks, you've got our information technology program, which we just, for those of you that may know Tulane SOPA, you may have seen our applied computing program. That's become our information technology program. So it more accurately reflects the program's actual content and what the type of work that you'll be doing when you go out into the field. And then we also have our kinesiology program, which for those of you in that health and wellness space, maybe in that sports space, to where you get that really wonderful connection where you're able to use that advanced degree and go in and work at these high levels in the field. And then one of our newest programs actually is our public admin program. We're going to go into a bit more depth on this, but for those of you that are in the New Orleans area, you're probably seeing a lot of that interaction that the public administration field has. So to talk a little bit more about these, our emergency and security studies programs can be completed entirely online at the master's level as well as the graduate certificates level. So for those of you who maybe are not in the New Orleans area, you can still engage with your coursework, get access to your advisors, get access to your teachers in the same way you would if you were in a classroom. And for those of you who are looking at that PowerPoint closely, you see that there's those symbols that define if it's available online, available on campus, or available in a combination. So anytime you see those two circled green arrows, that means that you can do that combination of coursework. So for those of you that want that more tactile experience where you want to be in a classroom and you want to have a classroom setting, you've got access to that. Whereas if you're someone where you're focused more on online only because you're out of the area, then you can really engage with your coursework that way as well. So at the master's level, you've got an MPS in emergency management, MPS in Homeland Security Studies, and an MPS in security management. So for those of you who may not know a lot about those distinctions, I definitely recommend checking out the website, reading a little bit more about the courses that are offered. But emergency management tends to have that sort of disaster response flavor to it, or you might see some of the emergency mitigation. So this is where you'd be working with local agencies who maybe are doing first response, things of that nature, maybe where you're working with cities on disaster plans and things of that nature. Whereas Homeland Security, you see the more immediate interaction there with, say, the Department of Homeland Security locally as well as nationally. And that gives you an opportunity to continue carrying on some of those skills that you may have learned while in the military or in similar fields like law enforcement. Security management kind of builds on those themes in Homeland Security and gives you a little bit more of a directed program of study where you can take what you're learning in that coursework and be able to carry it over into maybe a corporate environment. For those of you in the area, you probably see the large petroleum industry here, as well as all these various other large industries like our ports. And that's where the security management actually comes in, to where you're seeing people who are responsible for setting these security plans, running staffing, and actually working at really high levels in that field. So if you have an interest in those, I definitely recommend reaching out, following through, and reading out a little bit more. And then with those programs, you can also interact with them as a graduate certificate. So with the graduate certificate, it's going to only be 4 courses. So that way you get a more concentrated experience to where if you're not ready for that full master's program, you can take some of the courses and then you can get the certificate and you can stack that certificate towards your master's degree. So if you're worried about maybe not having enough time to complete your degree, or you know you only have a few semesters, then that's where a graduate certificate might be a good fit for you. You can build on it later. One of the really interesting grad certificates we recently started offering is our Sport and Event Security and Emergency Management Certificate. This one's really exciting, and it builds on sort of what I was talking about earlier, where you're seeing that security component to where you've got, say, maybe when you go to a football game, when you go to these big public events, to where you're seeing how you actually interact with sport and security. So for those of you who are interested in that field, there's definitely a lot of opportunities for growth. So to continue talking about some more of these programs in depth, we also offer a humanities and social sciences track. So with that, you're looking at more of an MLA program with a Master of Liberal Arts. With that, it's going to be a standard master's degree. So you're looking at that same sort of credits that you would for any other master's degree, but with a liberal arts program, you have a little bit more flexibility to engage with the coursework that maybe is of most interest to you. So for those of you who are really in programs with a lot of heavy reading and writing at the bachelor's level, the MLA is going to be a good continuation of that, where your reading, writing, and research skills can really shine, and you can use that towards your career goals. So with the MLA program, you've got that flexibility, but you'll also have all those dialed-in courses that are going to teach you really great research and writing skills. So I recommend setting up either a time to speak with me or the program director to see about how your vision marries with that program. And then to move towards our IT program, we've got a master's in information technology management and then a master's in cybersecurity management. So for those of you in the area, you may have seen that school districts were recently held hostage by a cyber ransom attack, and that's been going on nationally and internationally. With an MPS in cybersecurity management, you would be on the front lines of that fight. You'd be able to take your work and actually have an immediate impact to your local area. For me personally, I think that's a really cool opportunity where you can see that direct impact that you would have. So for those of you that are kids of the computer generation, or like me, you grew up with a computer and it became your lifeline to a lot of the world, that cybersecurity and information technology track gives you a chance to take that passion and make it into a career. So with IT management, you're looking at leading teams, maybe working as an analyst, potentially even project management, to where you're helping to direct employees within your realm who are actually within this field. So for those of you already in the field, it's a great way to give yourself more cachet, give yourself skills that can help you become a leader in the field so that you're the leader of that team instead of just a member of that team. With the graduate certificates, you see that sort of flavor carried on with our cyber defense and then cyber leadership certificates. So that cyber leadership certificate is one that we've just recently rolled out along with the cyber defense certificate. And those give you a great opportunity to be able to get some specific focus in the field without committing to that full master's degree. And then like the other certificates, they're stackable. You can use that towards your master's degree. So it really is a way to take it at your own sort of pacing, so that if, say, you need to just do those few courses and see how it fits for you, you can still walk out with something that's really going to be proof to your employer that you have the skills and that you have knowledge about the field. The other two certificates that I just wanted to touch on in there are Information Technology Strategic Planning Certificate and then Technology Architecture. So those are more subfields within that. So that's more sort of dialed in knowledge. And with them being stackable, you can build towards that master's degree. So continuing on, the kinesiology program, this is one that's been growing for us. We've got an MPS in health and wellness management. With that one, you are going to have to take that in person or a combination of online and person. It's not going to be fully online yet, but you can start that process online. Maybe there is a way for you to be able to do some of the coursework here and then do the online portion, or maybe the sports studies program, which we recently launched, is going to be a better fit for you. So that sports studies is a way for you, say, if you are an athlete, if you're someone working in the field, or if you have aspirations to move into a different part of the field, the sports studies gives you more of an academic basis for it, teaches you some of those essential skills that can make you success, or that can help you to be successful in the field. And with the graduate certificates, those are stackable towards your master's degree. So you can look at either the sport administration certificate entirely online, or the sport and event security and emergency management certificate. We talked a little bit about that one earlier, where you can either do that in person or in combination. And then sport coaching is another that's entirely online. So you've got quite a few possibilities there where you can tackle it either fully online or in that combination setting and really engage with sports and health and wellness. Public administration, I think, is one of our really exciting programs that we recently launched. The Masters of Public Administration programs are growing throughout the country, and you're seeing that these programs are a way for people to be able to learn skills, to be able to direct work in their community or work at a high level for the region that they live in. So the MPA gives you a lot of skills that are going to be essential if you're going to be working in that government, city, public planning sort of space. The classes have not actually begun yet. They're going to be opening August 2020. So for those of you that are looking to apply right away, you're going to wait until that fall 2020 application cycle opens. But I definitely recommend learning more about this program, evaluating, seeing if it's right for you, and reaching out to us, and we can help connect you with Halima Leek-Francis, who's the professor of practice for this program. She's got a lot of experience and skills that I'm sure she'd love to be able to translate to you. And then from there, you can help to evaluate, or you can evaluate whether or not this is going to be a great fit for you.
And Chris, can I jump in there just for a second? Because Dr.
Absolutely.
Leek-Francis is not only a thought leader in this field and is sort of spearheading this program, but she also is working with other professionals in the area that also are sort of at the forefront of their own research, and they are informing building this program. So for those of you who are considering the MPA, please reach out to us and we will connect you with Dr. Leek-Francis, and she can tell you a little bit more about the program. Those of you who are interested, I think, are definitely going to want to hear more about it, and will find that we are putting together an incredible master's degree, and I don't think that you'll want to miss out on the opportunity. So please either email us after this or call us, and we can tell you a little bit more about the program on a one-on-one.
Dr. Gold's advice is very good, I think, for any of these programs. Connecting with the program directors and connecting with us is going to be a great piece of that evaluation. It's going to get you right into that source of the information so that you can start learning about the program and learning from the source.
Thanks, Chris. So just a little bit more. This evening is a very broad overview of our programs and what we offer. For those of you who are interested in learning more specifically about each program, we actually offer webinars specifically for each. But we want to talk a little bit more and tell you sort of broader about what services we offer at the School of Professional Advancement. So when we feel a responsibility to our students to help you be successful and help you graduate. So we feel that that's a little bit of a differentiator between us and other universities, is that once you are at Tulane, we want you to graduate from Tulane. So we have an extensive network of support services. Not only does it start with the admissions office, with me and Chris and other folks that work with us here to help you apply and then enroll, but once in, you will start hearing from your academic advisors almost immediately. Actually, sometimes you hear from the academic advisors before you enroll. They reach out to you, answer any questions that you have, and that relationship begins through graduation. For those of you who have worked in the fields that you're interested in pursuing your master's degree in, you might have years of experience. You might have already taken a course here and there to sort of teach you some skills, or you might have gotten certifications over the course of your career. We offer what's called credits for prior learning. And so if you have extensive experience, let your advisors know, and we will sometimes offer credits to students so that they do not have to take certain classes. So our credit for prior learning is a way that you can come in with some credits already earned. There is a somewhat extensive process to do that, but the process itself is also very valuable because the process that you go through to evaluate whether or not you receive your credits for prior learning also prepares you to position your resume and to think through your professional experience so that when you do graduate with either your certificate or your master's, you can present yourself professionally in a very packaged way that it shows your skills. So please reach out and ask questions about the credit for prior learning if you have experience already in the field in which you're pursuing your master's. I would encourage you all to spend some time on our website and look at our program directors and also our faculty associated with our programs. They are experts and leaders in their field. If you recall the master's degrees that we just discussed, they are all professional degrees, and they are spearheaded, and the curriculum is developed in conjunction with industry leaders. So our intention is to position our graduates to have these skills that they need today to take a step forward in their career. The other good things is that you're working with professors of practice who are practicing in the field. So they can give you the most current research, the most current advice, and the most current information to position you all to really be leaders in the industry upon graduation. It's also nice to know in terms of your professional network. It's nice to say, oh, I have this professor who is doing work in the field of kinesiology, and I've been able to network with that person in order to get introduced to somebody else. Or I've been privy to sort of their body of work, and so I learned from their years of experience. So I think that at Tulane, we offer our students such access to experts that it's really an opportunity that I hope students don't underestimate. We have a full-time career advisor who works with our students to help position them upon graduation to get jobs. That advisor works every day and is available to you during your time in the program. So don't just reach out to her, a week before graduation. She's there, you can talk to her, she can help you position yourself, and she's available to all of our students. And then, of course, being a Tulane graduate, you have access to our alumni network. And our alumni obviously know the value of a Tulane degree and are happy to talk to other Tulane graduates and help make connections professionally. So our student support services are extensive, and they are with you from start to finish and beyond graduation. So just a little bit about our application process. We intentionally make our process as clean cut and as clear and easy to understand as possible. It is not meant to be a test or tricky in any way. It is an application form that is online. You can find it by going to our sopa.tulane.edu website, and there's a big button at the top right that says apply. You'll have to set up your student portal, which is basically a username and a password. And then our application is only a few pages long. You'll need to add in some biographical information. You will need to upload an ID, a government photo ID. We will need your transcripts from all of the schools that you have attended and graduated from. And we do have an application fee. Now, for those of you who are attending this webinar, we will waive that application fee. So we have an attendance. We are taking attendance tonight. So if you do graduate or if you do apply to the program, please send us an email and let us know that you're applying, and we can waive your fees. So we appreciate, that's our way of saying thank you for spending an hour with us this evening after a long day of work. And for some of our programs, we do have a short written statement. So we do not try to make this an arduous process, but questions do pop up along the way, and that is what the admissions team is here for. Reach out to us, ask us any question, big or small, and we're happy to help you with the process. Okay, so what's important to understand about the application is the transcripts, sending us your transcripts. We can get those two different ways. You can electronically send us your transcripts to soparecords@tulane.edu. That means that when you go to your undergraduate institution's registrar's website and request your transcript to be sent to us, oftentimes they will need an email address, and the email address that will reach us is soparecords@tulane.edu. If your registrar's office prefers to send them by U.S. mail, you will send them to this address that are Tulane SOPA Elmwood, 800 East Commerce Road in Harahan. You don't have to remember this. It's on our website, and also, like I said, you'll get a recording of this webinar sent to you this evening. But we have two options, which is electronically or by U.S. mail. So that's most likely the trickiest part of our application for most applicants. So we just wanted to touch on that this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Gold, for sharing that information. So to talk a little bit more about the actual application process, the application deadlines for the upcoming semesters are listed on the PowerPoint below, but I want to talk through them for those of us that are calling in and listening. So the fall application is already closed for 2019. So if you're looking at fall of 2020, you'll be looking at August 15th of 2020 as your deadline. For those of you who are looking at the spring semester, that's where you'll be looking at a January 1st deadline. So you still got quite a bit of time to finish out that application, or maybe if you're finishing out a final semester and want to give yourself a little bit of time before you actually get into the program. So once you get through with that, you can also look at the summer application deadline as well, where we've got May 15th. So for those of you looking at spring and summer, you still got plenty of time to get going. But for those of you for fall, you just missed that cutoff and should look more towards fall 2020. So to talk a little bit about how you actually will pay for courses, Tulane SOPA does offer financial aid assistance to help pay educational costs for the students who qualify. So that's the standard FAFSA that you would fill out with any other school that you attend. So that would be if you're taking out any sort of grants, any sort of federal loans. And then we also have a couple of other types of aid, one of which is the Yellow Ribbon Program. So for those of you who might be military, you've probably heard about this. The Yellow Ribbon Program is a way for people who've separated from the military through retirement or through their official discharge to where they can get scholarship assistance to help cover any shortfall between the cost of attendance and their educational benefits. So for those of you who would be using GI Bill or anything like that, the Yellow Ribbon Program would basically reduce your out-of-pocket cost to zero. So it even does provide stipends for things like books, so that along with your GI Bill is going to make it so there's minimal cost for you at that graduate level, which is huge. And then we offer over 30 of those scholarships. A fair number of them are still unclaimed. So that means that there's a great opportunity for you if you are applying for the Yellow Ribbon Scholarship to where you're actually able to claim it and use it. For those of you who haven't yet separated out from the military, that's where we have a 20% discount for our active duty military. And for those of you who may not qualify for Yellow Ribbon or are not looking at it and you're a veteran, that's where you would still receive that 20% discount. So it's a big help towards that cost of tuition. And you can also reduce your cost by using what we call credits for prior learning. With that, the credits for prior learning is a way for you to take home up to 6 credit hours based upon the work and life experience that you've had. So with a number of students that go into graduate programs, they've been out working in the field, maybe they've served in the military or done something that really has given them some sort of training beyond the classroom. That's where that credit for prior learning is going to be really useful. You'll take a portfolio class that's going to be a 3-credit course that's actually cheaper than the cost per credit hour and will allow you to retain up to 6 credit hours for that work. So what you're doing is you're going in, you're talking about the work that you've done, so maybe the certifications you've got, the volunteer experience you've had, and you're creating a portfolio document in there that really shows the depth and breadth of that experience, and then we can help translate that into credits. And with that, you're reducing the time you're spending in school, and you're also reducing your time to completion. The last piece to talk about is the cost per credit hour. So the cost per credit hour is $1,039. That's for the fall 2019 and spring 2020 semesters. So for those of you looking at spring 2020 semester, you can expect that will be your cost. We'll post it again if there are any changes later, but you can start to do those calculations using that number, as well as we have a tuition cost calculator on the website. So when you go to SOPA's website, you can find out how much your expected out-of-pocket cost might be, determine whether or not you'll need loans or any sort of federal assistance, and things of that nature. So we want to make sure that we give enough time to discuss all the questions that you guys have had. So to move on a little bit into our Q&A portion, we've had a few different things come up so far that I want to make sure that we get an opportunity to address. So earlier, someone was asking about if you've already begun a course of study in a related field, does the institution provide waiver options or reduced credits? So there wouldn't be any direct waiver options. If there are transferable credits that we are able to accept and apply, we would use them towards your coursework. You're always going to want to check with the program director who's going to, or your, in many cases, this would be your major advisor in the program, and they're going to be able to talk to you about the transferability of these credits. So it's going to depend on the coursework, depend on the field, and whether or not it's from an accredited university. So with any situation, it's going to really depend on your own personal experiences. So you're going to want to make sure to connect with either me or Dr. Gold so that we can show you who the appropriate person is who can help to get through these credit evaluations with you. Now, we've got a couple of other questions that have popped up as well. So let me just make sure that I am addressing them in the order they've come in. If you're a former School of Continuing Studies grad student, do you need to send your transcripts in again? No, and this goes actually for all of our Tulane students. If you do have a previous attendance here at Tulane, you're just going to acknowledge that within the application. So if you attended SOPA when it was continuing studies or university college, that's where you'll say yes, that you've previously attended the application, and that's going to notify us that we need to copy over your transcripts. For Tulane students, we'll see that that's an item in your academic history, and we'll copy that over. So you're not paying anything out of pocket to go and get those transcripts when we can get them through our system internally. All right. This recording will be distributed afterwards. So as long as you've signed up with a valid email, you will be receiving this recording. So Craig, we will be sharing that with you afterwards. And we'll also include a little bit more information that can help direct you towards those appropriate places to find information out about the programs. And then Junji was asking, when does the next security management certification program start? So Junji, to talk a little bit about those programs, they're not necessarily certifications, they're certificates. So the certificates are a way for you to achieve grad level coursework and skills without having to take that full master's program, but still being able to use those credits towards the master's degree. So it's not a certificate per se, or sorry, it's not certification per se. The certificate's just a name for it because it's not that full degree. So if you're looking into more of like a security certification, that's where our program directors and our faculty would be helping to direct you towards those. They'd help you to find out who's the proper certifier for those, who's the board that actually is going to be the one that gives you the certification, and help you to figure out what's the appropriate party to handle that. So we've got a couple more questions that have come in so far, one of which is actually a great one about our full-time staff here at Tulane. So the tuition waiver does apply to SOPA. So at the undergraduate level and graduate level, this is a great way for you to be able to reduce your cost of attendance. So if you're using that tuition waiver, you're just going to be responsible for that tax burden and for getting your books. So you're able to get a really high quality graduate level education without having to really dip too deeply into your pocket. So it's a great resource for Tulane staff members. So it looks like for the most part, we've gotten through most of our questions. Dr. Gold, is there anything else that you'd like to share with everyone who's tuned in with us?
No, you did a great job, Chris. What I want to do is we actually, I believe there's one more screen after this with our contact information on it. Is that true, Chris? Yes, no? Well, there we go. So if you have additional questions, you can contact Chris, or you can call our main number at 865-5333, or you can contact me at sgold@tulane.edu. And we are available to answer any questions that you may have, and speak more specifically one-on-one about the program of study that you might be interested in pursuing. So the one kind of message that we want everybody to leave with is that we would be thrilled if you joined us. We have starts every semester, and we are accessible to you all through this application process to make it as easy as possible. And that's the way that we intend to be with our students all the way through graduation. So we just want to say thank you. We know that it's not always easy at the end of a long day, way to add one more thing on. So we're always appreciative when students dedicate some of their time to hear more about SOPA, which is a school that we think is fantastic.
Thank you, everyone, for giving us some of your evening. We did talk about the application fee waiver. The way that you're going to be able to make use of that is following up with either Dr. Gold or me. I've shared our email addresses and my phone number in the chat, and you can also see my email address and phone number on the screen. For our call-in listeners, my email address is CLLOYD3, and that's the number 3, so cloyd3@tulane.edu. And you can reach Dr. Gold at sgold@tulane.edu. If you have any questions at all, if you're still in that evaluation process and you've got a lot of questions rolling around, let us help to sort of narrow those down for you. Let us help to guide you through this process, because we know a little bit about all of these programs. We know the right people to connect you with. And I think you're going to be able to find that these programs have a lot of value for you and have a lot of value for you towards your career goals. So just to emphasize one last point, these are flexible programs that are offered daytimes and evenings with flexible delivery methods. So either online, in-person combination, asynchronous delivery where you actually can dial in, or asynchronous delivery where you can watch it on your own time, or synchronous delivery where you can tune into a real classroom experience. There's a lot of great ways to really tackle your interest, and we want to be the people that help you do that. Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.